Unspoken Issues.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unspoken Issues podcast. We have returned. We are heading into Gotham. It's a city of assassins. You need to watch out. Maybe one or two assassins in this, but regardless, assassins plural. We're heading into early 90s DC for some of the single digits of Deathstroke the Terminator. And of course, I'm Jesse Starcher. Over there is Dean Compton. Dean, I think this was one of your suggestions here. What's up with City of Assassins? Why City of Assassins?
Well, it's a very important storyline. You know why?
Tell me why.
You don't know? Darry?
No, I don't.
It is the first time that Batman meets Deathstroke.
The first time. Okay.
The very first time. And we live in a world now where Deathstroke's been a villain in so many Batman games and Batman stuff. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, he's a Batman villain.
Right.
I wouldn't say that because I'm a comic book guy. I'm like, he's a Teen Titans DCU villain. But as far as tracing back his appearance in like the Arkham Knight games and stuff, it's all gonna come back to this story right here. This is the first time they meet in the DC universe.
Wow. I wasn't picking up on that. There was definitely like dialogue like I heard of you, so I don't know why I missed that. That's awesome. That's actually really cool. So, yeah, Darry's down there. Darry, this is Deathstroke the Terminator. Were you picking this up off the shelves, you young whippersnapper? What was going on with Deathstroke?
No, I've never read this story. I've never read this series. I didn't even realize he had an ongoing series.
No way. You got to get in the loop, bro. This title was canceled in like 1995. Like, you got to get in the loop, bro. I've read every issue of Deathstroke the Terminator like twice.
Give me your take on Deathstroke there, Dean.
I like him.
Okay.
I think he's terrific.
Yep.
Now, Deathstroke, the series presents him, he's like, I think he's grown back into being a villain now, but the series presents him as more anti-heroic, like a mercenary with a certain degree of morals and ethics. It has some really fun ties to the DC universe because Deathstroke's kind of a despicable guy, but he also works with Superman sometimes in this series during Panic in the Sky and stuff. So it's fun to see that juxtaposition. I just really think the character's visual is pretty awesome. He always has like a big gun and a sword. The Mike Zeck covers like really made me interested. I remember when I first got into comics, I wanted everything to be analog. Like Green Arrow and Hawkeye. So to me, like Deathstroke, I was like, is that just DC's Punisher? It must just be DC's Punisher.
Right.
And although that's not entirely true, it's not an awful way to look at it. They have similar things in common, both being like Vietnam War vets and whatever war he's a veteran of now since time has moved along. But I've just always really liked the character, really liked the visual of the character, really liked how he's interplayed with the Titans. And there's something really cool when like Nightwing in one issue, I've seen him and asked him to team up. He's like, I don't work for free. You got to cover it's this much a day plus expenses.
Yeah.
Nightwing's like, yeah, we'll cover it because Nightwing's spending Steve Dayton's money.
He's kind of famous for one thing, right? Are we all in agreement on that?
Well, you're going to have to help me out.
Well,
other than the fact that we're comparing Slade and Wade, I don't know if that's what you're going at.
No.
Okay.
I meant he dates Tara from the Teen Titans. That was kind of all I knew about him.
Date's not even the right word. He uses her and grooms her so that he can take the Titans out.
Okay.
And they smoke cigarettes and have sex.
Okay.
Not necessarily in that order.
Okay.
And it's a bad thing to have done. I think they've retconned that out now.
No idea, yeah. But that's all I knew about him for the longest time. And then I remember seeing him on the Teen Titans TV show. Where he
What a great cartoon.
Yeah, I know it was, but he's voiced by Ron Perlman, and he can only be referred to as Slade. And obviously, I don't think they adapted that specific story, but that's when it occurred to me, like, oh, no, this is a character outside of that one really creepy story.
They actually did adapt that exact story. He just doesn't sleep with Tara. He uses her.
Yeah.
I think there was a time when male writers, especially male writers, saw sex crimes like rape as just crimes. And I've heard Mark Miller say that, like, oh, of course my bad guy's rape. It's an evil thing to do. Well, it's more than just an evil thing to do, especially if you ask women who are more subjected to rape in society. So I think that to them, they didn't think about how creepy and icky and weird it would be. And honestly, in some states, he didn't do anything illegal. Still to this day, it's just weird and not right. But they didn't think about it so much. It's like, he's a bad guy. Of course he's doing a bad thing.
Yeah, and
the same writer who wrote Marv Wolfman wrote this story too, so.
Yeah, no, his co-creator, the legendary writer of Titans. But yeah, I don't know. His face turn was always funny to me because it's like, it's not like Venom or Deadpool or one of the characters across the street who it's like, okay, but you never really crossed that line. Here, it's kind of like, I don't want you to be a good guy. like, this story was really good because I liked how it set him up against Batman as 9 out of 10 things you can list about them are the same, and it's that 10th that really defines them.
He kicked Batman's ass.
There you go.
Now, I think you're onto something because part of what the series deals with is like Deathstroke's a guy who's trying to redeem is probably too strong a word, but he's trying to at least improve his reputation. I don't want him to be one of the good guys. Well, what does that matter? He's trying to be one of the good guys now. Shouldn't the other good guys somewhat accept that?
No.
Listen, they put up with Guy Gardner, right? And I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to it, to be honest. Some guys will be able to move on and forgive him, and some guys won't. But certainly some of the series is him being like, I'm trying to do things in a different way. And also, he's just good. He just looks cool. I'm just going to say that, too.
His look was designed by George Perez.
He looks cool in stuff, too. I don't like the Arrow show, but he looks cool in Arrow.
He did look cool in Arrow. Yeah, there was a more recent book by Christopher Priest that kind of hit on what you're saying. It wasn't so much as he had a moment where he realized that what he did was wrong and he wanted to stop doing that. It was more that he realized that before a certain point, he never cared about that. And it was this idea of like, wait a second, it hurt when my own kids were lost. So how do I develop morality that's going to make sure that in the future, I don't lose what I really care about and I don't do things that are going to put me in those situations. That was kind of an interesting arc for the character. And to your point, to go back to Guy Gardner or something, Slade carves out this interesting place where he's almost amoral. He's defined his code, but he's almost past that, right? Because they're always like, well, you can't kill this person. He's like, no, I can. I don't feel any regret if I kill this person, as long as it doesn't come back and affect me negatively in the future. And he's incredibly practical. I think from that perspective, he's really interesting. I always found him to be an interesting character in relation to the Titans because you're talking about a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of kids from the 50s, no less, and he's brutal. And I always loved him as a stand-in for like an abusive, mature relationship. Who's their arch enemy? Well, it's evil Batman. He's only got one eye and he hates them and he's not going to go easy on them because they're kids and he has killed many people and he's probably going to kill many more. So I always thought he presented a really good compare and contrast with the Titans. I thought that was a good matchup.
In the meta world, one of the reasons he gets a title is, I think the guy's name was John Peterman. The Titans editor was trying to carve out a corner. They looked at the X-Books and were like, we should be more like the X-Books. Like the X-Books had X-Men, X-Factor, New Mutants, etc. There were mini-series. Like the Titans had a million characters. Why don't we have this corner of the DC universe that's like ours? One of the things they carved out, they're like, we could do a Deathstroke series because no offense to the Titans, but like he's arguably, other than Nightwing, he's probably the most interesting of them. And Nightwing doesn't get a series for years for I don't know, different reasons. One of them is how close you're going to relate him to Batman, etc. But Deathstroke doesn't come with that baggage. Deathstroke can interact with any part of the DC universe. Deathstroke can deal with government questions. Deathstroke can deal with ethical dilemmas. Deathstroke's perfect for like the late 80s, early 90s as far as that stuff goes. So as far as them trying to get, and Team Titans was a part of this too. So they wound up with 3 titles. It was Titans, Team Titans, and Deathstroke. It makes perfect sense for him to get his own book within that context.
I went to Mike's Amazing World, and I want to share something with you guys real quick.
You better.
Yeah, just to give you guys a good idea. Again, we're talking Deathstroke the Terminator number 6 through 9. First issue dropped November of 1991. And let me go ahead and share my screen here real quick. If there's anything you guys want to say about this, great. If not, don't worry about it. There's a newsstand for November of 91. Let's take a look and see what's on newsstands at DC Comics in 91. Anything sticking out to you here? I know it's probably hard to see.
Armageddon 2001 for the Adventures of Superman?
Probably, because it would have been 91. Yeah. I can't see it. It's very small.
Let's look.
It's a problem for me.
No, it's a problem. That's Action Comics. I don't think this is So prison break-in.
No, okay.
But I saw Armageddon Alien Agenda.
That is part of the deal. Monarch and Captain Atom are fighting through time, and I think Inferno is when the Justice Society comes back.
It looks like the hardcover of Batman Dracula Red Rain dropped. I was looking at this. What brought me to this?
Look at those Impact Comics, baby. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Right here we have
The Black Hood is really underrated. Really great title.
And then
crossover classics. That's neat. I've got that.
I remember seeing that at the library back in the early 2000s.
You never checked it out?
What, this right here? I'm fairly certain I did. I think I did that. I was doing a whole crossover kick. I wasn't doing the Marvel DC stuff. I was doing the like Crisis on Earth 1, Crisis on Earth 2. I think it's the Justice Society.
Crisis through time.
There you go. Crisis.
But yeah, Crisis. The DC universe comes back to Crisis again and again to define stuff. There's several Crisis, like Crisis on Apocalypse, Crisis on Earth X, Crisis on Earth 1 and 2.
There's a lot of Impact comics going on at this point. Jaguar, Fly. We got Black Hood.
Did DC license the Archie characters? Is that what Impact?
DC licensed the Archie characters, and the idea was to get them into traditional outlets, drugstores, grocery stores, etc. Just have a brand new continuity so that younger people could get in and enjoy it. It never quite worked out. The titles are good, though. I think the Black Hood is incredibly underrated. The Fly is a classic. It's a good universe.
This one stood out to me, which I have covered on the Source Material podcast.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Easter Bunny gets Lobo to kill Santa Claus.
It's classic.
Not for kids.
No, it's not. Robin 2 variant covers for days.
Yeah, that's the thing. When people complain about variant covers, I'm like, we've been doing it a while, folks.
Yeah, this is 91. Some Star Trek. I was trying to see if there was anything that we covered or we've touched on, or if there were any of these things that were in the middle of any storylines that we had talked about in the past. Aside from that,
who in the DC universe?
Oh yeah, that's one of the.
I have that Who's Who in the DC universe, dark fantasy. That's about the characters that would make up Vertigo.
Yeah.
Did these things come with the 3-hole punch already?
Yeah, like you're supposed to put them in a binder.
Very cool. All right.
Didn't have Wikipedia back then. We had to make our own.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. That's right. All right. There you go.
Is that the Roger Stern's Starman? Or Tom Pyre, maybe?
Where am I looking at?
All the way to the left?
Let's look.
Who's that?
It's Roger Stern or Tom Pyre because they were the writers.
Yeah, I could never remember who did what.
It's like
Starman. Len Straczynski.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's about to end. He's fighting Eclipso, so we're about to.
Oh, because we're going to lead into Golden Age, and then the new Starman starts. So.
He's going to die during the Eclipso, the Darkness Within event. R.I.P. Will Payton.
Seriously, good character. Didn't get enough time.
All right. Well,
I guess I'm reading Starman right now from the 90s, and Jack's apparently about to go find him.
Oh, yeah.
You're up to the space arc? That's a good one.
Yeah.
That looks great.
I'll tell you this about that book. I wish I had read it when I was younger. It would hit me harder. Some of these things are not hitting me as well as they could have because I've seen things, but it's really good. I really should have read it when I was younger because of the stupid lettering. My eyes cannot handle all of this fine print and then all this. And I get it. It adds the atmosphere of the story, but I'm like, oh, my God.
I'm with you, man. When you have to read the parts with the character of the Shade.
Yes, where the Shade is writing, you're like, oh, my goodness.
No, I couldn't do it when I was young. It's not getting any easier, and I've got the nice glossy Omnibuy, and it's terrible. It's like, why would you do this? Why would you have someone letter like this?
What is this comic? Beautiful Stories for Ugly Children.
Beautiful. It's from Paradox Press, right?
Publishers DC. I assume, are they an imprint?
No, he's right. It's actually Piranha, so it's like...
Oh, it's Piranha.
Yeah, it's really short-lived. So these were all the things, Jesse, that they were throwing against the wall before Dean just mentioned Vertigo. This is right before then, where they're not quite sure why these weird books are selling, but they're just about to land on the Vertigo label, and all the weird stuff's going in there. And then a little bit later, we'll get Helix for the more science fiction stuff, most notably Transmetropolitan.
Which winds up getting reabsorbed into Vertigo.
Everything gets reabsorbed into Vertigo and then eventually becomes Black Label and everything else. They're figuring out the contracts. Most notably, everyone who got involved with a successful Vertigo book talks about how much money they made and how that would never happen today.
But this title, I've heard good things about it, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Okay. All right. Well, I was going
I've acquired it.
91's a good year because we don't have Image yet, right? So things still look very much the way they did a couple of years beforehand, but you can tell they're right on the cusp. It's like everything is going to look completely different in 12 to 18 months.
All right. That was a fun, educational, and entertaining look back at what was on the shelves in November of 91 for DC. I'll get back to my notes here.
But the best thing you could have bought is City of Assassins.
That's right. Let's real quick get into the creative team for Deathstroke the Terminator issues 6, 7, 8, and 9. Let's start with Marv Wolfman. Marv Wolfman's career began in the late 1960s at DC Comics, where he initially worked as a plotter and writer for a variety of titles, including Black Hawk, House of Mystery, and Teen Titans. During this early period, he notably wrote The Origin of Wonder Girl in Teen Titans number 22. By the early 1970s, he expanded his reach to other publishers like Skyvald and Warren, while also starting a significant tenure in Marvel Comics with titles such as Tower of Shadows and Captain Marvel. In the mid-1970s, Wolfman became a dominant creative force at Marvel, particularly in their horror and adventure lines. He began a legendary run on Tomb of Dracula in 1972, a series where he famously introduced the character Blade in issue number 10. His work at Marvel during this decade was prolific, encompassing long runs on flagship titles like Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, and Nova, as well as licensed properties like John Carter, Warlord of Mars. He remained a staple at Marvel until 1980, even writing for satirical titles like Spoof and Crazy Magazine. Wolfman returned to DC Comics in 1980 and immediately reshaped the landscape of the DC universe by co-creating the new Teen Titans with artist George Perez. The team debuted in DC Comics Presents number 26 before launching their own highly successful title, which Wolfman would continue to write for the next decade. During the early 1980s, he also launched original series such as Night Force in 1982 and Vigilante in 1983, while simultaneously writing major stories for Superman, Action Comics, and Green Lantern. One of the most significant milestones of his career occurred in 1985 when he wrote the 12-issue landmark series Crisis on Infinite Earths, which effectively rebooted the DC multiverse. Following this event, he played a crucial role in the post-Crisis era by writing History of the DC Universe and taking over the writing duties for Adventures of Superman from 1986 to 1987. Throughout the late 1980s, he continued to lead the Titans franchise, which was eventually retitled New Titans, while also writing a major run on Batman from 1989 to 1990. By 1991, the year that serves as the backdrop for our discussion on the City of Assassins story, Wolfman remained one of DC's most prominent writers. He continued his long-term commitment to New Titans and successfully launched Deathstroke the Terminator into his own solo series. This period also saw him briefly return to his horror roots at Marvel with a new Tomb of Dracula series, further demonstrating his versatility across both major publishers as he entered the 1990s. So that was our writer Marv Wolfman. Now let's talk about our penciler Steve Irwin. Irwin's professional career began in the mid-1980s, primarily working for First Comics. His earliest credited work appeared in 1985 on Grimjack, where he served as an artist, inker, and penciler for stories in issues number 18 through 20. Following this, he spent much of 1986 as the regular penciler for the title Shatter, illustrating issues number 3 through 7. In 1987, Irwin transitioned to DC Comics, beginning with a 3-issue stint as the penciler on Vigilante number 48 through 50. The role led directly to his most significant long-term project of the late 1980s, serving as the primary artist for the tactical espionage series Checkmate. Starting with issue number 1 in late 1987, Irwin penciled nearly every issue of the series through early 1990, including notable stories such as Arabian Nights and One Wet and Wild Night. As the 1990s began, Irwin expanded his portfolio at DC by contributing to high-profile team books and cosmic titles. He penciled issues number 68 through 70 of New Titans, which included his first collaboration with writer Marv Wolfman and inker Will Bleiberg on the story Clay Pigeons. During the same period, he provided art for Hawk and Dove, number 21 and 22, and a 3-issue run on New Gods, issues 23, 24, and 25. The defining moment of his career leading up to the end of 1991 was the successful launch of the Deathstroke the Terminator solo series in June of that year. Reunited with Marv Wolfman, Irwin served as a series regular penciler, establishing the visual tone for Slade Wilson's adventures through the first 7 issues of the title by December of 1991. This run encompassed the introduction of the series and the beginning of the City of Assassins story arc. Now let's talk a little bit about inker Will Bleiberg. His career up to 1991 is defined by his extensive work across several publishers, beginning with a mix of artistic roles at smaller houses before becoming a mainstay at DC Comics. His early career in 1983 saw him taking on diverse roles, including penciling All New Adventures of the Mighty Crusaders #2 for Archie, and serving as an inker and letterer for AC Comics on titles like Americomics. During this period, he also provided inks for Archie's Thunder Agents. By the mid-1980s, Bleiberg became a prolific inker for Eclipse Comics. Between 1984 and 1988, he was a primary contributor to several of their flagship titles, most notably Airboy and DN Agents, including New DN Agents. He also provided inks for the limited series Valkyrie and the crossover event Total Eclipse. This period established his reputation for detailed finishing work on adventure and science fiction properties. Then in 1988, Bleiberg transitioned to DC Comics, where he initially focused on high-profile mythological and cosmic titles. He had a significant run on Wonder Woman, the second volume, starting with annual number 1 all the way to issue 34 in 1989. He moved to New Gods, inking the majority of issues from number 7 through number 25 between 89 and 91. During this time, he also contributed inks to various Superman titles, including Action Comics and Adventures of Superman. The year 1990 marked the beginning of his notable collaboration with Marv Wolfman and penciler Steve Irwin. Their first joint project, as mentioned earlier, was New Titans number 70, which set the stage for their long-term partnership. By mid-1991, this trio successfully launched the Deathstroke the Terminator solo series, with Bleiberg as the regular anchor for the title's formative issues, including the start of the City of Assassins arc. By the end of 91, Bleiberg had solidified his role as a key artistic architect for DC's tactical and team-based franchises. Our colorist is Tom J. McCraw, who up to 1991 is defined by his rapid ascent as a prolific colorist, moving from independent titles to becoming a central figure in DC Comics' visual identity. His professional work began in 1987 at First Comics, where he colored the majority of the Evangeline series, issues number 3 through 12, and contributed to other notable titles like Chronicles of Corum, Dreadstar, and Badger. This early period established his ability to handle diverse genres, from religious-themed sci-fi to high fantasy and superhero satire. In '89, McCraw transitioned to DC Comics, where he immediately took on high-profile assignments that reshaped major franchises. He was the colorist for the relaunch of Aquaman, starting with the Aquaman Special number 1, and continuing through subsequent solo series. Simultaneously, he became the primary colorist for the Star Trek line at DC, beginning with the Star Trek movie special number 1 and the long-running ongoing Star Trek series that debuted in August of 1989. By the start of the 1990s, McCraw had become a mainstay of DC's monthly production, holding long-term coloring tenures on several flagship titles. He was a regular colorist for the Legion of Superheroes, the 4th volume, starting from its first issue in 1989, and expanded his portfolio in 1990 to include ongoing duties on Suicide Squad and Starman. During this window, he contributed to various special projects and anthologies such as Secret Origins, Christmas with the Superheroes, and The Secret Origins of the World's Greatest Superheroes trade paperback. The year 1991 marked a peak in his early career productivity as he balanced multiple monthly titles while coloring high-stakes event books and limited series. He provided the colors for Superman for Earth number 1 and the limited crossover series Star Trek The Modala Imperative, an event that affected the original series and The Next Generation. Starting a 4-part story here, City of Assassins. We've already talked about the writer Marv Wolfman, our penciler Steve Irwin, inked by Will Blyberg.
Steve Irwin. Matthew Price wanted me to talk to you about Steve Irwin. He is in the Oklahoma Cartoonist Hall of Fame.
Really?
And he is also known for doing Star Trek books. He's going to have a documentary coming out soon, but he is one of the premier comic book artists from Oklahoma. So Matthew Price of Speedy Bullet Comics, sbcomics.com, where you can buy 1 million comics.
Yeah.
They still have the Supreme deal. Any issue of Supreme for $2 million. They'll find it for you.
I forgot about the Supreme deal.
I gotta say, the art on this 4-part series is spectacular. This guy's sense of design, layout, use of shadows, when he does choose to use a splash page, it's immense. I mean, really, this is one of those books where it's not super wordy. Well, I think Wolfman does a good job at writing, but you almost don't need the text. Irwin does just an amazing job. There's some shots here where he's trying to differentiate Batman and Deathstroke, and he's almost channeling Will Eisner. This was a pleasure to flip through and read the second time once where it's going. Absolutely stunning.
Right.
Yeah, the art's great, and he makes Gotham very moody. Gotham sometimes gets overlooked, but it's very much a character in this book. Just as much as
that's really well said, because I agree. And he does all these establishing shots. I was never a huge fan of the Burton image of Gotham, where it looks very expressionist. To me, Gotham is just all the worst parts of New York, and I feel like he does such a good job. The street level stuff, you can't see the sky, but when he shows you the skyline, everything's just a little different color, the fog and mist and the pollution, and it's all great. And then when the Batman shows up, it's all about the lights and the positions. It's a pleasure to read. It's basically a crime noir story where a couple of costume guys show up for no reason and move the plot forward. But that, I mean that as a compliment, because sometimes the human characters, the drama of what you're looking for gets lost because it turns out to be the Joker's birthday or whatever nonsense they put these poor characters through. Yeah. But here I felt like Wolfman really reined himself in. He focused on the human drama, and when the other characters show up, it doesn't distract. You really are interested in what the mundane characters are doing. I really think this is a style of storytelling that would do well to make a comeback.
It's like a good cop show, which I don't like cop shows anymore, but when I was a kid, I liked Hill Street Blues. And I came across, there was like some really good episodes of Hill Street Blues. Now I don't like cop shows, they're propaganda.
Propaganda.
I didn't know what Hill Street Blues was. I had never seen an episode of it, but when Alan Moore came out with the comic Top 10, he kept mentioning it, so I had to look it up, and I realized that there was this incredibly popular cop show that was on for years that I had just never seen because I was too young. That is my only reference for that, is thinking about Smacks and Toy Box and King Peacock being in the semi-fictional version of Chicago that show was set in.
That's crazy.
Neapolis, baby.
If you played that theme song, the intro to Hill Street Blues, I don't think I watched a single episode, but I know that because my parents...
You remember the cops coming out?
Oh, I remember the intro. Wow.
It took me until last year to realize that Hill Street Blues is a play on words.
So...
They're cops, so they wear a blue uniform, and also it's about their struggles.
Got it.
That's some deep shit, Shane. That really is.
I didn't get it for a long time. I was 40 years old. I was like, hey, that's got a double meaning.
Well, that
Same thing with Infinity Gauntlet.
The Infinity Gauntlet?
I didn't realize that I was like 40. Wait, this is two things.
He's running a gauntlet. They're all running a gauntlet.
All right.
So it's infinite.
Exactly.
Wow.
The initiation never ends.
Deathstroke, not a character in the Infinity Gauntlet.
Nope, he is not.
But if he had been, Thanos would have killed him too.
For the amount of times that Warner Brothers has been sold in our lifetimes, if you told me that Netflix was going to carve out DC and toss them over to Disney, I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be shocked either.
I don't think anything's been finalized. They were still doing the stupid Paramount, trying to put in a bid.
Yeah, pursuing to try and block it.
Yeah.
Because there's sour grapes that they lost.
Yeah, they're upset. They're upset.
The dude who owns Paramount, Ellison or whatever, he just wants to get CNN so that he can
Oh.
So he can just destroy CNN because he's hated CNN forever. Because he's a billionaire. That's the funny thing, too. Is like CNN loves billionaires, you pieces. Like, it's really weird. Like, for somebody like me, it's like they're only nice to billionaires 99.3% of the time, not 99.8%. You shitbags.
Oh, boy.
Into the Deathstroke the Terminator.
Inked by Will Blyberg and colored by Tom J. McCraw. And you mentioned Star Trek earlier. I did a little bit of looking up what some of the credits that these guys had. Tom J. McCraw did a lot of coloring on the Star Trek issues as well. So it might have been one of those things where these guys ran in the same circles and felt like they needed to work, they could work together. And then lettered by the man, the legend, John Costanza. This guy is everywhere in the 90s. All right, I'll go ahead and do a rundown of our characters. I want to give a baseline so everybody has an idea of who the characters are that's going to be in this.
Well, the people who are listening to this don't know who Batman is, so it's probably pretty good to lay that down.
I really need to explain who Batman is. But we got to start with Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. Lead character.
Deathstroke, the Terminator.
That's right.
Isn't that a great coupling? He started out being the Terminator, which predates the Terminator movies, but then the movies came out, so they gave him the name Deathstroke.
Okay.
I don't think they had to. I think they wanted to.
Yeah.
I think they probably could have said, hey, we don't have to do shit. This character, like Deathstroke appears in 1980, like before the Terminator movie comes out. They probably didn't have to do shit, but they also wanted to differentiate the characters without losing the Terminator part.
Okay, that makes sense.
He doesn't solve problems. I have a house ad poster of him. It's like he doesn't solve problems, he terminates them. Everything has a price, even death, which I like that tagline better.
Oh, that's good.
Didn't he get involved because they tried to hire him, and when he said, I don't want to take the job for whatever reason, they said, we're going to have to kill you then, because now what we're trying to do. And he's like, I'm not going to tell anyone about that. And then they're like, how can we trust you? And then he's just like, what do you mooks think you're going to be able to kill me?
Right.
And then, like I was saying before, it's almost as if he's amoral. It doesn't even occur to him to lie. It's like, I don't care about what you're doing. It does not even occur to me that that's going to be a problem. And then he overreacts and decides to murder all of these central casting guys. He even says it to Scoops. He says, they didn't accept my word. That's insane. And that's what makes Slade.
Okay.
Like,
that's what I think. He just got pissed off at them and decided to go do it.
I like that because that separates him from everyone else. Few people have that motivation of like, it's not even a misunderstanding. It's like they didn't do exactly what he wanted them to do, even though why would they? So I really like that about the character.
Good old Scoops.
Is there a G.I. Joe named Scoops? Did I make that up?
There is a G.I. Joe named Scoop. He is a field reporter.
Okay.
And like he's in an issue of Special Missions, and all the Joes hate him because they're like, oh, you're just spying on us for Uncle Sam, because he's taking battlefield footage and stuff. He winds up proving himself. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Don't worry.
He was not an accountant before he joined the Joes, though, right? Like Raptor was? Okay.
Right. No, I don't think he was an accountant.
He's got to be a journalist, right? He's a journalist.
Yeah.
He's a journalist. Okay. By the way, I don't think we mentioned.
And always, we did this podcast about the Joes and the ones that died, and for some reason in my head, he was always one of them. He's not.
He's not.
He's fine.
Yeah. He's just
fine. Scoops.
He's the one that's actually getting the lowdown on why Sneak Peek is not actually dead.
He's definitely Joe's contributor to the Stars and Stripes newspaper. I'm glad y'all got that. I was like, this might not get over, but...
We didn't talk about Deathstroke has this crazy physiological ability to use 90% of his brain.
Yeah, one of those fake things that people like, oh, the human brain only uses 10% of its capacity. If it could unlock the rest of it, oh my God. Which is apparently a myth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he also has a healing factor, so... And he's got super fast reflexes and slightly super strength, and he's also been trained in everything like judo and aikido and kung fu and staff fighting.
Yes, he is. We also have Batman. Just like you said, he's the protector of Gotham. These two are kind of at odds. Batman doesn't have very much of a rosy idea of who Deathstroke is. He believes he's a murderer in this at first.
Well, Deathstroke just is a murderer, so you can't fault Batman for that.
No, you can't.
Deathstroke's murdered a lot of people, and willingly. Like, oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
I found that so funny where he keeps calling up Dick Grayson and he's like, hey, this is an international murderer with warrants in every country, right? And Dick's like, yeah, listen, he tried to kill me and my friends a bunch of times, but he's a good guy. He's trying to make him, and it's just it's Wolfman just being like, I want this character to work. I want him to be a main character. Who can tell you? Batman's son can tell him he's trying. And again, I'm sitting there like, dude, I understand where you want to end up. You haven't done the legwork. The whole idea of Slade Wilson is that he wakes up and you need to kill a president or a prime minister. He's supposed to have done every terrible thing that has ever happened. He's Deathstroke the Terminator. He's the person Elektra and Taskmaster are afraid of. He's so terrifying. And here it's like, oh yeah, no, he's absolutely killed hundreds of people, but he's trying to make amends. It's like, Dick, you're like 12 in this story, and I don't know if I buy your take on his revolving door morality.
It's creepy that you called him 12 because he's standing around in his tidy whities.
Is he right? No, I'm sorry. He's Nightwing when he goes to college, right? So he's like in his 20s.
He's in his 20s. He's grown up a little bit, but I get where he's coming from because Deathstroke at this point has worked with them and helped save the world. He killed his own kid to save the world in front of the Titans. So I get why he's like, hey, this guy might not be too bad. It's not like Batman and the Titans aren't breaking the law. Let's keep that in mind.
True.
Like vigilantism, like Commissioner Gordon's overlooking vigilantism, which is against the law. Batman is a criminal, and Batman knows that.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe this guy's turning over a new leaf. But I agree with you, though. When you were a kid and you would meet somebody and they would know somebody, you would call the first person and be like, is this person really cool? And you'd be like, yeah, they're really cool. You should get to know them. Like, okay. Like somebody just moved to your school and somebody who gone to that school before. Did you Deathstroke Slade Wilson? Will Slade Wilson let you copy the homework there?
It's interesting because it does, for all of my complaining, it sets an interesting precedent for later on when Jason Todd is introduced, killed, and resurrected. When he comes back as the Red Hood, the story clearly establishes that he has many bodies. Like, they're all quote-unquote terrible people, but there's many, many bodies. But eventually he does become part of the Bat family. So I do think it's an important part of Nightwing and Batman's art that they do believe in the ability to turn over a new leaf. That is evidenced here. I'm not saying it comes out of nowhere. I just thought it was pretty funny that it's like, oh my God, you're the worst assassin that has ever lived. Like, you've absolutely broken the no-killing rule for 100 reasons. And it's not like you see him...
Oh, no, he won't do it for less than 100,000 reasons.
Right. I apologize. He doesn't get out of bed for 100,000 in 1991. God only knows what that is today. So.
Well, speaking of the law, we get an introduction to Patricia Pat Trace. Yes, she is a GCPD detective. She's a woman at her breaking point due to a legal system that failed her partner Lewis, who was
that stupid legal system.
Who was murdered by the hitman Jeremy Barker. Commissioner James Gordon is part of all of this. He is dealing with the FBI, who's come in. Speaking of federal agents, Lorna Gaines, she's assisting in the investigation. That's a name we need to remember. Our supporting allies and informants, we got W.R. Wintergreen. Darry, tell me what you thought about Mr. Wintergreen here.
Wintergreen is another one of those things where it's like, did you write the script and you had Alfred in it and then you forgot you couldn't use him, so you swapped in Wintergreen?
No. Wintergreen predates this. He's been with Deathstroke for a long time.
Okay.
He's now he does serve a very similar purpose to Alfred.
Okay.
Well, you notice he's much more whimpering. Alfred's telling Batman, I don't know why any of you masked maniacs do any of that shit. Wintergreen's like, oh, I gotta find Deathstroke. Pretending not to want to find Deathstroke, but absolutely wanting to find Deathstroke.
In a lot of ways, you need Wintergreen because I feel like Deathstroke's defining characteristic is that he's evil Batman, right? Like, most of the things that he shares in common, and they even make a point in this storyline of drawing them when they're in action very similar. They have similar movements and motions and everything else.
Yeah.
So you need Wintergreen because whereas Alfred protects Bruce and helped to raise Bruce and remembers what Thomas and Martha sound like. Wintergreen's the opposite. Wintergreen's like, I went into the service, I did my duty, I wasn't happy with everything, but I got out and I want to make something else. And he's watching Slade make all these mistakes and lose all these terrible tragedies. But I think at the end of the day, he wants what's best for him, and he might be the only person who does. So I think he's a very important character. But the first time I heard his name, I was like, is he a joke? He's named after a flavor. It looks like Alfred, and he's also retired and British. I was very confused. And then I read a little bit more about him, and I was like, oh, okay, I see where you're going. Actually, in the later Chris Priest book, they make it explicit, like Alfred and Wintergreen serve together, and they
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, again, on a long enough timeline, everyone's going to know each other in these stories.
Right,
but,
right.
They have correspondence about how their boys are doing. So it's funny because I like the idea of a guy who's trained in everything that the Batman is, except whereas the Batman is like, I will never kill unless there's absolutely no other option. And even then, I'm going to hesitate it. Where Deathstroke is like, no, if I can kill you and end this, I'm going to kill you to start with. It's a nice dichotomy, especially at this period of time, which is post-Batman 89, post The Dark Knight Returns. Like, we're really getting into the more modern iteration of the character.
Batman can do something Deathstroke can't.
Yeah.
Have good depth perception.
It's true.
True. That's what I always thought the 90% of his brain was. Does that explain why he basically has bullseye's power? He can't miss, even though he only has one eye. I was very confused by that. Does that mean there's something compensating for that? He can't even go to a 3D movie. Am I missing something here?
He can't even go to a 3D movie. His one weakness, he can go, but he can't enjoy it.
It's such a cool mask, right? It's George Perez. He never had a bad design. It's so cool, but it's one of those things where I can't think about for very long, because then I'm like, wait, you and your go-go boots can't do any of,
right.
Like, I know you got a generic set of superpowers, and that's fine. And again, you're fighting a guy dressed like a bat. It's not like I'm looking for accuracy here, but every time I see that, I'm like, you can't use a sniper rifle.
Come on.
No.
That's good stuff. Then we got Scoops. Deathstroke's street informant and assistant who sets up meetings and logistical support and lasts about one issue in a job, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Alfred Pennyworth, we already discussed. He's helping out Batman a little bit there. Then we have the underworld here. Jeremy Barker, a mid-level mafia hitman turned federal witness, who's going to be a big part of this story. And Emil Jarrett, who is a mafia boss. We got a lot of, I don't want to call them faceless, mobsters here, but it's hard for me to remember who's who and what's going on.
You don't want to offend mob people?
My understanding is they don't exist, so I'm certainly not. But yeah, I feel like Emil Jarrett, was he the guy that initially set up the hit on Jeremy Barker, and then Deathstroke turned him down? Is that what happened?
Yeah, Deathstroke turned him down.
Right.
I believe that's the thing. Then Deathstroke goes nuts.
All right. If you guys are ready, I'll get into the synopsis real quick, and then we'll banter about what happened in the issues. All right.
Sure.
All right, so here we go. Full story summary. The City of Assassins arc unfolds against a Gotham already poisoned by corruption, where mob hitman Jeremy Barker becomes the most dangerous man in the city simply by staying alive. After Barker is arrested and positioned to testify, Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, is offered a contract to kill him and refuses outright, adhering to his own rigid code. That refusal doesn't keep him out of the crossfire. When a masked assassin violently attacks Barker's guarded apartment, Deathstroke intervenes, battling the intruder amid panicked police officers and escaping with Barker via helicopter. The aftermath, though, leaves a dead cop, a missing witness, and the unsettling realization that someone inside Gotham's institutions may actually be engineering this chaos. As the city scrambles, Batman enters the picture, investigating Barker's disappearance while crossing paths with Deathstroke. Their inevitable rooftop
The Terminator,
that's right. Their inevitable rooftop confrontation becomes the philosophical spine of the arc. Batman argues that the truth can still be exposed through restraint and legality. Of course he argued that. Deathstroke rejects the idea entirely, viewing Gotham as too compromised to save. Their fight is brutal and decisive, with Slade walking away victorious and unmoved. At the same time, suspicion begins to form around Detective Pat Trace, whose sudden absence and personal connection to Barker make her an increasingly likely candidate for the mysterious masked assassin. The tension spikes when Deathstroke attempts to move Barker out of Gotham, triggering a relentless pursuit through the city. The masked attacker escalates the chase dramatically, commandeering a city bus and forcing a violent crash on the bridge. Barker survives, but is left in severe pain and barely mobile, further complicating efforts to keep him alive. Everything about the pursuit, the timing, the tactics, the access, seems to confirm the story's implication that Pat Trace may be the assassin, acting out of grief and rage over a partner's murder. The assumption begins to crack when the assassin abducts someone she believes is Barker during a chaotic police operation, only to discover she has captured Deathstroke instead, deliberately disguised and placed in her path. During her interrogation of Slade, it is revealed that the masked assassin terrorizing Gotham was never Pat at all. The true killer is ultimately revealed to be FBI agent Lorena Gaines, operating as a covert executioner using Barker as bait and exploiting the city's corruption and Slade himself as part of a twisted final test. She mentions this is a test. There's this person that's kind of pulling her strings that we don't really get any idea who that is.
That's something that I think's been going to the Deathstroke book.
Right. All right. The arc concludes in a violent penthouse convergence. I think this is where we learn where Lorna is. The arc concludes in a violent penthouse convergence where all the lies finally collapse. The real assassin is killed. Barker survives and enters witness protection, and Gotham officially declares the case closed, though nothing about it feels resolved. Pat Trace, given the chance to execute Barker herself, chooses restraint over vengeance, refusing to become the thing she was manipulated into resembling. As snow falls over the city, Pat and Deathstroke disappear into the night. Not redeemed, not forgiven, but fully aware of how easily justice can be distorted. And City of Assassins ends on that uneasy truth.
They're going to make snow angels in the end.
You ever make a snow
It's
angel?
weird. Are they a snow angel?
Yeah. My first note, I'm going to go ahead and cross off here because you already talked about it, Dean. Mike Zeck covers. My goodness. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add, but what a perfect artist to give us some covers here of Deathstroke, right?
Yeah, he's been doing the Deathstroke covers since the first one. My Deathstroke house ad poster, promo poster, is actually the cover to issue number 1. He's doing a great job. Honestly, the covers alone are worth the $1.75 admission.
I agree. Let's talk about the big reveal here with Pat Trace. Did the story in any way make you think that Pat Trace was this masked assassin that was trying to kill Barker? Or did you see through it?
No, it didn't. Okay. Because it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's so obvious, right? I was actually surprised when you see the masked killer and the killer is drawn as a woman. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay, so now it could only be one of the two characters you're introduced in that first scene. I was like, why even go that route? If you're going to bother with a mask, you can hide their entire identity. So I was actually a little surprised by that. And then as we kept seeing her, I was like, okay, it's probably the other one.
Yeah, Lorna.
Yeah, so I wasn't, but I also don't think that was the biggest mystery, right? Because it's pretty obvious it's going to be one or the other, and you haven't met these characters before the arc opened, and clearly it's going to come down to who's going to win in a fight, Batman, the guy whose book it is, or Deathstroke, the character that Wolfman created. So I was very interested.
Well, no, it's Deathstroke's book.
Oh, right. With all the supporting characters, I kept thinking it was a Batman book.
I understand, and that's actually one of my gripes with it, is there are times when this feels more like a Batman book than a Deathstroke book, and that's not a good thing.
Well said.
But I still like the story, but when he beats the shit out of Batman, he has to be like, my wound still hurts so bad.
So bad.
I'm still so hurt. We can't let Batman look a little bit bad, even in somebody else's book. Batman still has to be, and he's like, get out of my city. Come on, bro. You're like a kid who's playing basketball and they start to lose. Go home, get out of here. This is my house.
I actually do like the idea that Deathstroke could beat Batman. Yeah, because it's like
he should beat Batman.
Yeah, Batman is incredibly capable in a variety of situations, but if you were to write down on paper everything he's very good at, it's like, okay, Slade Wilson can match you. He can hold his own against all the masters that you trained with, and he's older, so he's been doing this longer. He survived longer. He also doesn't have your no-kill rule, and he's got superpowers. In a straight fight, there is no reason why Bruce would necessarily come out on top. And you've seen this with his fights with Nightwing. He's familiar with your fighting style. He's probably going to take you out. The fact he doesn't shoot you in the head, but when he beats the crap out of Batman, it's like, no, that makes sense to me. You've built this up. You've developed this character as a credible threat to him. It's like when they introduced Bane a couple of years from now. It's like, no, I buy that you outthought him and then you outfought him.
Yeah. Well, as far as Pat Trace being...
Pat Trace,
I was on the hook. I legitimately was like, yeah. And that's actually, I should have put 2 and 2 together, but I was sitting there going,
no, that sounds like fun. Who cares?
I was definitely on for the ride. And then I was like, well, this girl was definitely, because they set her up like that intentionally, obviously, as you're going through the story. She's not.
Well, I think Lorna Dane is trying to set her up.
Her name isn't really Lorna Dane.
Gaines.
No, not Lorna Dane. Lorna Gaines.
That would have been amazing. If at the end she pulled off a second mask and it was Polaris.
Polaris. Join X Factor, Deathstroke.
Exactly. You want to talk about deep pockets? The Worthington Foundation is running X Factor. Or now we got the government behind us. So we're going to pull you in as a 1099 employee, Deathstroke. Let's go.
Come on.
You're working for Uncle Sam.
No, sorry. But Lorna's trying to set her up. Like, that's why she uses a Gotham PD. Now, the question is how she got access to it, but I guess it's not unfathomable. That's why she leaves a gun at the scene that's a Gotham PD gun. This is like, it looks like it was Pat Trace.
Very, very crime noir.
Did you notice the Lethal Weapon reference?
Detective Briggs and Murdoch crossing the note off right now. Good.
And he must hate these guys because they look inept. They look like fools the whole time. Like, they're guarding the guy when Deathstroke shows up and kidnaps him. And then at the very end, they're guarding the guy again. And when Vigilante just sneaks in and puts a 44 Magnum, a very large handgun, right in his face. I thought it was neat. I was like, do you not like these guys or something? Do you have something against Mel Gibson and Danny Glover?
Right.
We've all got something against Mel Gibson now, but Danny Glover, what a guy.
At this point, Lethal Weapon 2 had been out, and Lethal Weapon 3 was right around the corner in 92. So, I don't know.
Lethal Weapon.
Yep.
Yeah, this is also set at Christmas because Deathstroke, like, saves a Santa.
Wait,
we got
Shane
that.
Black? Is that the director of these movies? Is that the guy?
Shane Black.
Shane Black
Yep,
Christmas, ladies and gentlemen.
Shane Black directed City of Assassins.
Oh, he did not treat his characters.
That would have been cool. If that had been the third Batman movie, if they had just randomly been like, we got nothing else, we're going to adapt City of Assassins. Shane Black adapted City of Assassins from the early 90s would have been really cool.
That would actually have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
I loved Batman forever, so I would love anything that came out then.
Right. The fight we kind of glossed on already, talked a little bit about between Batman and Dean. I remember when we were talking about this last week, when we were getting ready to end the show, you were like, yeah, we're getting ready to talk about City of Assassins, and Batman gets his ass handed to him. So you're a fan of that.
I think Batman's grown incredible plot armor. And for the character to actually work, he needs more moments where he has to come back from something. What makes Nightfall and Night's End and Night's Quest such a great... Oh, I just read 3 omnibuses, and what made it great was watching him come back from incredible duress. Too often, Batman outsmarts a guy with superpowers or gets by him. This was a situation where, like, straight up, Deathstroke should beat Batman, and he did. And then also, it's in Deathstroke's book, so that should help.
Right.
Although even then, it doesn't help always with Batman.
Right.
See also Wolverine.
Yeah, he's kind of a protected character. You don't want him looking bad, even though it's somebody else's book. You don't want him looking bad anywhere else.
So that's the cornerstone of heroism.
Right.
What are some of the oldest hero tales we know? Like Beowulf and Grendel, you've got to make a comeback.
Right.
It's got to be like overwhelming odds. Hey, how do I do this? This guy's killed 13 people already. It's going to be big.
Just to leave Darry in the dark here and make a wrestling reference about somebody coming in from a different fed and dropping and then getting beat. Can you do that real quick off the top of your head?
I said face turn before.
I heard it.
I listen to you guys.
I think this was on accident, but when the Radicals jumped to WWF in 2000, Eddie Guerrero broke his arm. They needed to win this match for stipulations, but they had to lose it, and that screwed everything up. So it could have been like that. Batman showing up could be like that, where it's like these guys show up, need to make an impact, and instead, boom, Batman's like, but I'm Batman.
That's right.
And he still Batman's everybody here. Also, like, does Deathstroke just know Bruce Wayne is Batman? Like,
It very much felt like it. It felt like it.
Like, these guys just shit like this, just sharing this information. I don't care if Deathstroke the Terminator is trying to make a face turn. Like, I don't want him knowing that I'm Batman.
Right.
I just took it that he seems to know that Dick Grayson is Nightwing or Dick Grayson is Robin. So I don't necessarily remember him saying it outright. He does show up at Wayne Manor, but he seems to be there for Bruce Wayne. But on another level, it's like, well, if he knows the secret identity of this guy's adopted son, I'm pretty sure he could put two and two together. Like, Deathstroke is also supposed to be incredibly smart.
He's using 100% of his brain.
Back then, it basically meant that he had a computer up there, right? So all the data is going in, and he never misses a shot. He's always going to show up at the right time. It's kind of the same thing. Well, I beat Dick Grayson to within an inch of his life, and he's got a very large trust fund. Now I'm in the house of the guy who controls that trust fund. So I kind of read it as an implication more than anything else. But I also do like the idea that he could figure it out, and he could just be like, what am I going to do with this information? I'm also wealthy. I'm not impressed by you. I've beaten the crap out of you. I don't care. It's like, I feel like if someone paid him enough money, Deathstroke would blow up Arkham Asylum. That's not why he's here. Right. He's here because people offer him to do a job, and if he chooses to take it, he's going to take it. But he's got to choose. That's his whole gimmick.
Yeah.
Think about a world where Dick Grayson is just a chill guy, lives off the trust fund and doesn't do anything. He's not Nightwing. He's just dating different ladies, just like going to ski resorts. Bruce Wayne's like, what are you doing with your life? He's like, I'm doing what you should have done, brother.
Yeah. Took it easy.
That would be a great storyline, too, because I feel like there's so many times, especially after this period, where the character of Alfred is just shown as being like, could you all please retire? Like, I'm tired of burying people I care about. Like, I understand that you're trying to help people and whatever, but there's like 16 orphans living here. Could at least a few of them just have a normal life? It would be nice to have some grandkids or something floating around. I think that would have been really cool if at some point Dick was like, nah, you know what? Peace out. I'm going to school. I'm going to planet Tamara, wherever Starfire's from. And I'll be back with a bunch of kids. You keep trying to get yourself killed.
I got small notes in here about how Salvation Army Santas are never safe. They're always
always get attacked.
They're always.
But on that page, did you see how those two pages juxtaposed?
I didn't pay attention. Help me out.
These two pages were put together, like Batman's driving and he's working on what he's working on, and he's talking to Alfred. Like, he pulls over because these kids are about to rob a store, but he doesn't have to do anything. The kids leave. Deathstroke's thinking to himself about what he's going to do. It's really just like almost panel for panel the same page.
Yes.
Except Deathstroke is brutal and shoots those guys in the leg,
right in the knee.
What's the meme where it's like, I'm sorry, sir, I was not familiar with your game? That's how I feel with Steve Irwin, because there were points where I was just going back and looking at the art without the dialogue, the way he laid everything out. And again, it could have been in the script. Wolfman could have written out all the set direction and whatever, but it's so good. Like, the way the two main characters are shown to parallel each other, it's just that extra step of using a gun or shooting someone. It tells you everything you need to know about the character. Really phenomenal. I'm going to look at as much of this guy's work as I can find.
Like Star Trek?
Oh, I love Star Trek. I'm proud Trekkie.
He did a lot of Star Trek.
There we go.
And it's like really, really good stuff. So, like, I'm not a Star Trek guy, but I remember at the time hearing about how good he was at the likenesses and stuff.
We would mention our artist. You were just talking about him.
Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin. I for some reason, I absolutely loved the car chase in this. I thought it was done really well. Credit to the artist for making the action feel like an actual car chase. I'm sure car chases happen all the time in comics, but this one just hit me different. I don't know why.
I like the splash page of them on the helicopter ladder.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's the one that you see a lot. You see a lot of people on the ladder, on the helicopter, but this one just really hit me hard.
The one thing I have to say, I'm not picking on him again. The art is spectacular. He draws what might be the worst Batmobile I have ever seen.
Batmobile.
Okay, but that's how the Batmobile looked at the time.
That was the house style. I'm sure he tried to draw something better or more interesting or more dynamic. And Denny O'Neil, whoever the editor was at the time, was like, no, draw the house one that looks like a knockoff of a toy of the damn thing. Like, whose window raises like that? Like, that's some G.I. Joe snowcat thing.
It's Battle Force 2000 too. It's not even the good G.I. Joe. It's like
Exactly.
Battle Force 2. Oh my God, that's the question I'm going to ask from now on. I'm going to be like, does this impact you more or less than the death of Battle Force 2000?
The litmus test.
I just
R.I.P. Avalanche.
every time I see the mobile, I'm like, nah, this is terrible. You're too good of an artist to have designed this awful looking thing. And there's so many iconic Batmobile designs. Even the first one, going way back in the day. It's like you still see that show up occasionally. I'm looking at this thing and I was like, oh my God, you just either draw the 89 one in there or wait a couple of months and you'll have the Bruce Timm one. But this thing is
it's not good.
Really bad.
They really should have been using the 89 Batmobile because it's the best Batmobile.
It was known the world over. I feel like if you had asked me what the Batmobile looked, I would have held it up. In fact, I have a toy of it upstairs. Like, it's just like I would have held it up. I would have been like, this is the Batmobile. This is the Batman 89 Batmobile. So it's just, why is he driving around in this? I don't even know what this looks like. It doesn't look like a bat. It doesn't look like it's Battle Force 2000. It's like an over-designed toy that only looks like another toy if you already have the rest of the line.
It fits in very nicely with a bat wing that has 3 X-wings.
Exactly.
And then it also has bat wings of its own. Then the rotor shoots batarangs. You're like, okay, that's a little much.
Yeah, the front part pops off to become a slightly smaller car that you're going to lose the parts to very quickly.
Exactly.
Oh, it's weird.
Matthew Price read this today, and he was talking to me about it, and he goes, that's not a great Batmobile. And I was like, yeah, but that's what it was at the time. And he looked it up. He's like, yeah, that was the Batmobile at the time. So you can't be mad at Steve Irwin about it.
I'm 100% sure that if he had been given the ability to design a new one or choose which one he wanted, he would have come up with something that looked great. And I'm sure this looks better than half of the other appearances. It's just one of those things where I look at this and I'm like, you were in charge of a multi-million or multi-billion-dollar brand at this point. Why is he driving around in this thing? Like, there's not even a toy of this.
Irwin, if I handed this book to somebody and I said, do you want Slade Wilson's bike or do you want this Batmobile? He wanted people walking away going,
I want that bike.
Slade's, that's his vehicle, right? He's always on a bike all the time.
Yeah, he uses the motorcycle a lot.
Okay, all right. Okay. I've got 2 more notes here, and then I'll turn it over to you guys for anything left unsaid. But we got to talk about Pat Trace and the Vigilante. So, Dean.
Vigilante.
Adrian Chase, the original.
Did you just say God?
To me?
Why? What is this? I was so caught off guard. I was enjoying this series so much, and then she pulls out that costume, and I was like, what the hell is this?
I need a little bit of history lesson here. I actually own, Wolfman did... he created Vigilante, right?
He created Adrian Chase.
Adrian Chase Vigilante.
Okay.
There's a Vigilante. Saunders is his last name.
Greg Saunders from the
Greg
40s,
Saunders, from the Golden Age.
Gotcha.
He's a cowboy looking dude.
But he was a cowboy. Yeah, he had nothing to do with it's not even really a legacy character. Wolfman was just like, this character is called The Vigilante. DC happened to have published a character called The Vigilante 50 years beforehand.
Can you guys give me I know Adrian has passed away by this time. He has died. How long before this?
His title ran 50 issues, 83, 88, 89.
Okay. All right. We're talking a couple years, 2 or 3 years.
And he kills himself.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
You got to put a trigger warning on this one, buddy.
Shit. I didn't know that.
He's like a disillusioned lawyer. He's basically like if the Punisher was a DA who didn't work out.
Okay.
He's like the DA, his family gets killed. He decides to start killing people, but it takes a piece of him. They really do it in the Vigilante series. They really focus on the cost of this constant murder, and eventually he kills himself. It's been a long time since I've read it.
That's mentioned in here because Batman.
Yeah, he's it destroyed him. The last guy who wore that suit destroyed him.
Right.
Batman, who's also I know exactly who you are, Pat Trace.
Yeah.
The world's greatest detective.
Pat Trace, Scoops gives her, or she asks for it, I can't remember, but Scoops ended up having the vigilante costume.
Yeah, he gives it to her. He's like, this might help you too.
And we now have a new vigilante by the end of this series, and that's Pat Trace. And also a romantic interest. Like, she pals around with Deathstroke for a while, right?
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what happened. It's been a long time since I've read all of Deathstroke, but she's
of legal age in all 50 states, so I don't think he's interested.
Ouch.
This guy's trying to turn over a new leaf, but I'm not crossing that line.
Actually, in all fairness, his wife is in this story a couple of times, Adeline Kane, and she's normal. He had a bunch of kids, and he clearly had this very normal life before he decided none of it was fulfilling enough and started running around with his fancy little mask. So,
Okay.
He's got armor on now, so, life's better.
What's your thoughts here, Deed, on Pat Trace, the new vigilante?
I think that the cover of the issue after this is really good.
Yes. Yeah, that looks really good.
I think they just didn't want to lose the name. They wanted to attach. I don't think anybody has any big attachment to Pat Trace Vigilante. I'm not sure if she makes any appearances outside of Deathstroke. I don't know. But I can tell she's the kind of character they were hoping would take off. The Titans editor at the time was trying to carve out a niche. Hopefully this would be a character that you could get their own title. We see her about this almost works as a backdoor pilot for her to get a miniseries or something. Mm-hmm. I think she's a fine character, but I don't have any attachment to her. Probably somebody who they killed during Infinite Crisis or something.
I was looking her up, and she has about a total of 40 appearances, if I remember correctly.
Well, a couple of things. It makes more sense now that Dean explained that there was a real push to give Wolfman his own corner of the DCU. Wolfman and Perez are two of the major reasons the new Teen Titans was so successful. He co-created Deathstroke, which now has its own book. He created or co-created the Vigilante. Sure, he's only part of that corner, but he's spinning out things where he can. And then my main problem with her is she spends the entire series saying how she doesn't step out of line, and even though she wants to, she's not going to. And then you get to the end and you find out that she's not the masked killer, but now she is a masked killer, but everyone knows she's a masked killer. She's just going to be in the next arc. I was like, what are we supposed to take from this? This was such a weird... It almost would have made more sense if she had been the masked killer, as Jesse, you thought she was, which you could have thought based on the evidence you were provided, and she got to the end and she was like, nah, I've lost everything. I'm going to continue to do this and see if I can make up for the inverted arc that Slade has. But to see her just pick this thing up and be like, backdoor pilot's the perfect word, because it's like, check out the Vigilante at 8 p.m. on CBS coming this fall. I don't know that it worked, to Dean's point, if she doesn't really take off. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a great costume. Looking at it in hindsight, the Adrian Chase version was on that Peacemaker show, and he was a delight there. So maybe she comes back one day.
Yeah.
She also used the 44 Magnum, just like Peacemaker did, that giant fuck you handgun. They're keeping the Vigilante figure, and that handgun looks good in the Vigilante with that motif. I'm not sure why.
Is that so you're the closest thing we have to an expert on this. Was that a gun that anyone ever used before Dirty Harry? Or every time I see it after that movie came out, is that just a reference to Dirty Harry?
I think people used it prior because it fires a big bullet. People go pistol hunting, especially for bears.
I'll say this is an absurd gun. This gun is ridiculous.
And so I know that sounds weird, pistol hunting, but it works because you don't have to carry. It's not as cumbersome and stuff. Mm-hmm. You have to shoot a huge bullet to get through it to kill a bear. As far as using it for home defense, there's no doubt that it spiked because of Dirty Harry. There's no doubt that, like, as far as it all of a sudden appearing in lots of media, Dirty Harry really, really brought it because, like, it's not... Listen, if I shot you with it, you wouldn't like it. See? But it's also not the most optimal gun for home defense. You remember Sin City, where he's
that's what I was thinking.
Like, can you hold that cannon up? Yeah. Because like a lot of people can't. It's a huge gun that gives a huge kick.
I want to ask you this, Darry, my final question. We've got a story that takes place in Gotham. We got, as I said earlier, faceless mob villains here. Would you have liked to have seen an appearance from any Gotham criminal? Like Two-Face, Joker, anything like that?
No, I like the way they did it for two reasons. One, you have the notable primary antagonist in Batman or Deathstroke, right? You have a name brand, but also these characters being faceless, it's like, oh, they might not make it through. Deathstroke might be able to kill the mob boss. Batman may not be able to stop him. If it's someone who's got an action figure or they've appeared in something else, they're probably not getting bumped off. But you don't feel cheated because Batman and Deathstroke do have the knockdown drag out fight, which I thought was really good. And also I like the idea today everyone has such nostalgia for the Bat Rogues that every once in a while it's good to have a story that doesn't have one of them, because there's only so much you can develop them, right? So here it was nice because it's like, are we ever going to see these faceless guys again? No, but they served the story very well. It didn't have to turn out to be a plot by Two-Face or Black Mask or whoever's running the crime organization. But no, I enjoyed this. Dean said this before, but the city of Gotham is also a part of the story. It's really about location. You have to go places. The cops are there. They've just missed a person. This is a place where people have to act and move and protect. And I thought it was an excellent use of the city. I really did. I thought it was a well-paced story for 4 issues. It didn't feel like it was missing anything. I read it twice just because I couldn't get over how well laid out all the art was. No, I think it was satisfying. I could have done without check out Vigilante this fall, but aside from that, I think it had the right amount.
I think another thing about not including Gotham Rogue, one of Batman's rogues, is this already teetered on the edge of feeling like a Batman book.
Yeah.
And if you put a rogue in there, if all of a sudden Poison Ivy's in there or Mr. Sass, it's just not, it's going to feel even more like a Batman book. And it was already a problem that you're running.
Fair point.
Excellent point.
All right. Well, that's all I had here, Darry. Any other notes that you had listed that you wanted to touch on?
Again, we may have mentioned it, but just a good Commissioner Gordon story. I'm a huge fan of not only using the setting of Gotham, but also I love watching Commissioner Gordon just be like, we need to do just this one thing. Every cop in every other major city, we can do this. I don't know if I can rely on anyone. And I love watching him get legitimately fed up so that he turns the bat signal on.
Yep.
And the way the first issue ends, again, I keep thinking of it as a Batman book, but it's a Deathstroke. But seeing the bat signal for like 2/3 of a page, 3/4 of a page was great, because it's like, nope, I'm throwing my hands up. I need help. This is outside my wheelhouse. I have to call in help. And then the Batman arrives. Again, it's more going to the art, but I just think that for all the criticism I've had of him, I think Wolfman really used these characters very well. And it's not a surprise, because obviously he knows them inside and out. He understands the weight of the story. The other thing I will say is I really do like watching when Batman has to convince other characters that they shouldn't kill someone. Not so much because I don't necessarily think it's the best way, but that's his hang up, right? Like the Riddler has to give you a riddle. Two-Face has to flip his coin. Joker has to see the anarchy in something. Batman has to convince you don't have to kill them. Like that's his thing. And I thought that was really used well in this story as a nice compare and contrast with Slade. I had never heard of this story before, but I really enjoyed reading it, and I would recommend it.
When Batman's always like, and people in superhero comics, even in the G.I. Joe comics, when people are about to kill somebody who deserves it, but they can't for whatever reason, they're always like, nobody deserves to die more than this piece of shit. Like in the last issues, it was the Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes and the Saw Viper. And this time it's like, that
Barker guy. Barker.
Yeah. Barker.
Like, we have that whole scene at the end, the epilogue, where she shows up and it's like, God, you just wanted to pull a trigger, but no, of course not.
It's not a Punisher book.
Right. But that's important too, because the reason the Punisher is so, I don't want to say good at it, but the reason it makes sense in his narrative is Frank doesn't have this same set of hang-ups that the Batman does, and they explain it. Even if sometimes you agree with one character or the other, it's honest for the character. That makes the story more compelling, because Batman's life would be much easier if he was okay with killing, and maybe it would make the story more difficult, but at the end of the day, that's his personal hang-up. That's his weirdness. So I like seeing it pushed up against someone else who's like, why are you making your life so much more difficult than it has to be? So I thought that was great.
Okay, so there was the part where Pat Trace has her friend lie to the police so that she can get away, but she puts on like a fake accent. Why do you have to do that? Why you got to be racist? You could just say, hey, it's not here. You don't have to be all like, yo, me no comprende. Mm-hmm. Like, it's weird. It feels so icky now. I don't think I would have thought it was out of place at the time. But now I'm just like, oh, that's not very good. I remember that setting me off a little bit. We've talked about everything else that makes this a really worthwhile read. I'm not sure why it's not collected more often, because it's probably because Batman loses. It's probably because Batman loses a fight.
Yeah,
but it's a nice 4-issue high octane run. It's very hard to get through if you like Batman or Deathstroke or the DC universe at all. It's fun because this is the first time these characters interact. They've got to know that Bruce Wayne is Batman because, like, as Bruce Wayne, he tells Wintergreen, "Get him out of my city."
Yeah.
They've got to, like, Wintergreen's got to know. How many people know this secret now, Bruce?
Yeah. If your legs are crushed and you are flung from an overpass onto a truck, do you think there is not going to be any more damage done?
I think that Deathstroke doesn't care about damage except in the case of the amount he can inflict.
Okay.
Jesse, 90% of his brain, okay?
Wait, I forgot.
90% of his brain.
He can tell.
Clearly, some of that is going to allow him to make
the part of your brain that makes you a doctor, he uses.
What I love about it is he's like, my legs are crushed. And then we find out later that his legs aren't crushed. So yes, you could have done more damage jumping off of the overpass, even though his legs were not crushed. It's funny stuff.
It's so funny because I think they talk about him being a contract killer. It's like, at what point is it, oh, hey, I need you to kill someone? Well, I'm not doing that. It's for a lot of money. No, I understand, but I don't want to be punched in the face by a guy wearing a bat leather costume. This guy's like, nah, I'll take you out, and I'll take out Deathstroke, and I'll take out all the cops. I'm not afraid of anyone. It's like, man, you, sir, have far overestimated your abilities.
Right. All right, gents. We did it. That was Batman. No, it wasn't. That was Deathstroke.
It was not Batman.
I'm telling you, that was one mistake they probably made. Is it makes it feel like a Batman, but it's Deathstroke the Terminator.
Deathstroke the Terminator.
It felt like a Batman book.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick. In the DC Marvel crossover world, why have they never matched up Deathstroke and Punisher?
It's never happened.
It did on a card.
It wasn't on one of the trading cards?
It was on one of the cards.
It was. Okay.
Yeah. But that's it. Like, as far as other things, we're going to have Punisher Power Girl before we get actual Punisher Deathstroke.
I would read that.
No, it's literally happening. So,
I was going to say, I remember seeing the ads for it. The trading card, just help me out. So this happened like during, I assume,
on a DC versus Marvel trading card.
Yeah, it was a Marvel versus DC trading card set.
And an amalgam set.
96, 97.
Were they putting anybody over, or how did it work? Like,
I don't think the back put anybody over. It was like very nonchalant.
Here's the tail of the tape for the two.
Yeah, it was just the art. They had a bunch of artists doing the trading cards, and they would draw the two characters fighting. There would be some copy on the back, and then in the book, you see who won the key fights. And then next year, you bought the amalgam one, and some of those fights would end in the characters being combined or something like that.
But there were also fights on cards that didn't happen in the books.
Yeah,
this fight happened, but it doesn't say who won.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
I love Frank, but I gotta give that to Slade.
No way.
The same
Punisher
thing.
Wins.
Oh, Punisher wins. Okay, all right.
Punisher, such as life, finds a way.
Don't give me.
It's a homer pick.
Really?
For all the reasons he should beat Batman, he should beat Punisher. The difference is Punisher will go where Batman won't. Punisher will be like, oh, sure, you can take more wounds? Good. I don't have to hold back at all on you. Hold this grenade.
Yeah. It's all about the 90% brain capacity.
It is true.
90%
synapses firing, electrons going off.
90% of his brain.
He uses all of his brain.
All 100%.
You only use 10%.
That's right.
That's why he got divorced. This poor woman was like, he was coming in and he was just saying flash facts for 6 hours. And she was just like, nope, kicking you out. You can see the boys on the weekend.
You killed them.
Before you get them. Are they all? No, Jericho's alive, right?
He killed Jericho to save the world. Jericho had made a heel turn. Jericho may be alive now, but this is back in the day.
Yes. Isn't there also Joseph?
I only know of
One-
Jericho and Grant.
Grant, excuse me.
Grant is Ravager, and I believe Slade killed him too.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Right,
Christmas must be really fun at their house.
All right. Let's get into plugs. Like I said, this was Deathstroke the Terminator, City of Assassins. Dean Compton, tell them all about your thoughts on the Unspoken Decade.
TheUnspokenDecade.com, where we're still publishing articles all the time, thanks to Simby Fan. 90s comics galore, and we're also very active on Facebook and Blue Sky. Check us out. We'll have some fun and come and post. You can talk about other 90s stuff, too.
Yeah, we'll let you do that.
Let you do that. You like Kid and Play? They had a comic.
Yes, they did. They did.
Right.
Some sick hair. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to this podcast most likely on the Source Material Comics feed. We've got a few shows here on the feed. We've got, of course, this show right here, Unspoken Issues, where it's 90s comics all the time. Go back in the archives. We're at over 30, 40, something like 150, I think. The last one I did was 157, so that was our G.I. Joe discussion. Go back in the archives, check that out. We also have the Source Material Comics podcast, where me and Mark Radlich usually are getting together and talking comics of just about any era, any time frame. I think we have a discussion. Me and him are going to be discussing the CM Punk Drax series here coming up Saturday, which I haven't read yet, but I've heard good things. So those like 11 issues. And then there's another Drax series called Earthfall we're going to talk about as well. So watch for that. And then, of course, the Snap Material podcast, where myself and Evan Bevins get together and discuss Marvel Snap. One of the fun things I love is learning about some of these characters that pop up in that game and I have no idea about. So with that being said, we are getting out of here. That over there is Darry. Over there is Dean. I'm Jesse Starcher. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.